I'm Alyssa from Untitled Astrology, and I'm here to talk with you today about the astrology of May 4th through 10th. Before we look at all of that, reminder to like, follow, and subscribe so that way you don't miss any of the videos, especially if you've already watched a couple of them. You might as well make sure that you see everything else that comes up here. So we start out on Sunday, May 4th, with the moon in the sign of Leo, coming through the first quarter moon phase here, moving towards the full moon. And here on Sunday, we have Pluto stationing to go retrograde. When the outer planets go retrograde, those periods are long periods compared to the inner planets like Mercury, which is only retrograde for a short period of time. So this is something that we will have through the middle of October, so it's a long process, and you may see some of these themes popping up throughout the entire duration, or it may just be during a small portion of the retrograde. So these longer periods are a little bit different as far as when it may pop for you, or just if you see the themes showing up kind of generally. When Pluto is in a retrograde phase, there is a turning inward to look within and reflect. Reflecting on the power and the strength that we have within, reflecting on deep inner hidden things that may be coming up. There may be reflections on what Pluto in Aquarius has brought up for you this far. Maybe if there's been some movement and some momentum, then you might start to reflect and think and contemplate on those things. Pluto is the planet that brings us into the depths and into that which is unseen within itself. So then when there's that retrograde and it's more of an inward expression rather than maybe an outward expression, then there may be periods of subconscious exploration that comes up. So we may be digging deep into the way different things affect us and the way we process different things. There could be a depth that we are reaching into our consciousness somehow within that, and the different things that we are contemplating, and things that were previously unseen may start to come to the surface. Or maybe if Pluto has brought things up, things that we weren't really aware of before, or were avoiding, or they were stuffed down, then maybe now those things will start to show themselves once again, or show themselves in a different way, or fall back in a little bit of a way too here. So we start out this process of Pluto going through this retrograde at the beginning of this week, and like I said, that will take us through the middle of October. So this is a longer period. So through the summer here, reflecting and looking inward and just seeing what is going on in that Aquarius house for you. Broadly speaking, and then anything that you have in those very early degrees of Aquarius, then that may be pinged and affected as well. So that's where we start out on Sunday. That Leo moon that we have on Sunday will take us right into Monday before the moon moves into the sign of Virgo on Monday afternoon. We also have a couple exact aspects that day. We have Mercury making a sextile to Jupiter. When you have these two planets interacting together, there is a possibility of finding yourself in some sort of expanded mental sphere, whether that is considering new ideas, whether that is finding a new way of doing things, problem solving, new way to communicate, maybe new thoughts or inspirations coming into your mind. Things are expanded mentally. Mercury represents our mind, our thoughts, communications, the resources and things that come to us and that help us, and Jupiter expands whatever it touches. So when you have these two planets coming together, we are able to communicate well, we are able to describe our thoughts, and we are able to think deeply. These are air signs, so it's very mental and it's very communicative. When you have Mercury in the sign of Aries, you're able to communicate, but you might also be able to communicate either firmly or assertively. That can allow us to stand confidently within ourselves and within what we are trying to say and what we're trying to get across. However, at the same time, that could easily turn into overdoing it, to maybe where you are saying too much without kind of realizing it. These sextile aspects, they can be subtle but flowing, so it may be one of those things where you don't necessarily notice it happening until you're on the other side of it, because it feels it feels a little bit subtle at first there. So maybe just being aware of speaking our truth, but not stepping over somebody else's at the same time as we come through here at the beginning of the week. At the same time, we have Venus making a sextile to Pluto, so another favorable aspect going on the same day. Another one of those flowy, yet subtle aspects that allows these two planets to work together and to help each other out. When you have a Venus coming into an interaction with Pluto, then we're reaching into that deep energy that we were talking about on Sunday with Pluto going retrograde. So Venus representing our desires and the things that fill us up, where we find happiness, and the things that we really enjoy on many levels of our lives. Coming into contact with Pluto, the planet that brings us deep, the planet that feels intensely and asks us to look a little bit below the surface at what is coming through there. So reaching deep within the strength, the power, the will that we have, the power and the will and the strength of others. This is coming through as Venus is coming into her last days of her post-shadow period, past retrograde. So, Venus has moved on from the retrograde period, but she's still within those degrees in the sign of Aries that she retrograded over in the beginning of that retrograde period. So we're still kind of going through that last little bit of the retrograde period before she's totally moved on from that process. So we're still within a little bit of that transformation that Venus has just recently went through. When she comes into contact with Pluto just after that, it feels, and right towards the end of that process there, it feels like she is able to take what she's learned, she's able to take her experiences and what has come out of that retrograde and able to find some sort of power, some sort of strength from that, able to reach deeply into whatever it is that is coming up for you to be able to move forward in this empowered way that she has been looking for in the sign of Aries. Venus retrograde in the sign of Aries for many people has been very much about trying to find our own autonomy or our own standing in our own way somehow. So this coming at the tail end of the entire process, like I said, we're about 10 days out from clearing that post-shadow period, feels like this is an empowering moment for Venus as she moves forward with what she's going to be working on next year. There could be a ease in releasing or letting go of things when we have that sextile. Like I said, it's a little bit subtle, so you might see things just kind of, things that maybe were a little difficult or burdensome before, maybe they just kind of fall away in a way here. These are quick aspects, but they can be powerful when we're talking about Pluto here. And with the Mercury-Jupiter aspect going on at the same time that we have Venus-Pluto, we're able to reach deeply, we're able to have some strength, but we're also able to broaden our mind. We're able to speak in maybe a little bit clearer or maybe a little bit more comprehensive way than we were before. So those two things can work together simultaneously here at the beginning of the week. So that's where we are at on Monday. That Virgo moon from Monday will take us right into Tuesday, where the moon will be in the sign of Virgo all day. We don't have a whole lot going on in the beginning of this week, in the middle of this week. So on Tuesday, May 6th, there's no exact aspects, just that Virgo moon that will take us right into Wednesday. On Wednesday, still no exact aspects going on, just following the moon through the sign of Virgo. It makes a square in the middle of the day there, and then that Virgo moon will take us straight into Thursday, May 8th. The moon will ingress into the sign of Libra early in the morning, right around 3 a.m. Eastern time on Thursday. So really the moon is in the sign of Virgo Tuesday, Wednesday, and then mostly in the sign of Libra on Thursday this week. Making several aspects that you can see here that we have listed, that Libra moon, and then that Libra moon will take us right into Friday, May 9th. Action is at the beginning of the week and at the end of the week coming through here this week. So Libra moon on Friday, and that Libra moon will take us right into Saturday, May 10th. That Libra moon will take us through the first part of the day on Saturday before it ingresses into the sign of Scorpio around 4 p.m. Eastern Time. On this day, we also have Mercury moving into the sign of Taurus. So Mercury has completed its journey through the sign of Aries, which was extended because of that Mercury retrograde that we had through Aries and Pisces. And now Mercury is moving on to the sign of Taurus. There is that opposition to the moon that comes through about 5 p.m. on Saturday. So that really seems like it kind of lights up the entrance of Mercury into the sign of Taurus that we have coming through here. So Mercury in the sign of Aries has been moving very quick. It's fast, it's initiating, and it's action driven. It's a Mars ruled sign. Now Mercury is moving into a earthly Venus sign. Things slow down here. It's a feminine sign. There is a desire for stability, a desire for practicality. It's a little bit more simple and a little bit more consistent than the sign of Aries. So we may find that our mind or our mental processes start to slow down. Maybe we start to take our time with the way we say things. Maybe we don't speak quite so quickly or move quite so quickly. There's a steady nature that comes with Mercury in the sign of Taurus. You know, there are the stereotypes of Taurus that come along with, you know, being lazy or stubborn or unchangeable, overindulgent, greedy, and all of those things are possible, but they're all also possibly misconceptions of the desire that we find in the sign of Taurus. Again, it's a Venus sign, it's an earth sign, so those physical earthly pleasures in the sign of Taurus are much appreciated. So we may find our mind just kind of slowing down a little bit or finding joy in things a little bit more simple and maybe a little bit more elegant here. That's not to say that the movement is going to stop. The sign of Aries likes to initiate things and it starts things. It's a cardinal sign, but now Mercury is moving from that cardinal sign into the solid fixed sign of Taurus. So the things that have been brewing within our mind have been starting initiating. It's not that they're going to stop, but they may start to find a way where they can be a little bit more steady, a little bit more consistent, and not be moving in such a fast, brash way. Maybe we're able to find a way to care for, nurture, and aid growth within our thoughts, our mind, and even those resources and those tools that come our way. So that is a lovely way to end the week, and that's what we have going on. Like I said, the action is at the beginning of the week and the end of the week, a little bit of slowdown in the middle there. But overall, we have some lovely flowing things that are going on here through the week. So if you have enjoyed moving through this week and looking at the astrology with me, join us on Sunday nights for a live astrological meditation. There is a weekly intention that is released on Friday each week that correlates with that meditation, and we look forward to having you joining us there. So find the weekly intention, roll through this video here that breaks everything down, and then on Sunday we meet together and we meditate on the things that are going on during the week. So I will see you at the live meditation. I will see you back here next week for our next video. I hope everybody has an absolutely wonderful week.